At the European Parliament, we're used to speaking for 3 minutes. I've been given 4 minutes here, so I do thank you for this great possibility to express a few concepts. First of all, the religious question is not a private question because each human being asks himself or herself, who created everything that I see around me? And because there are billions of human beings, this becomes a question, a general question for human beings, not just an internal one for each one of us. But many human beings, instead of thinking or of asking themselves what God might want from me, those who believe, ask, what do I want from God? And that which should be religious faith becomes a political use of faith, of the relationship with God, to control territory, to give rise to instruments of power. And this leads naturally to intolerance towards the other. Because if I decide what God wants of me, clearly I think that my God is better than the other one. But that's not so. This becomes something important in politics. It's important to understand what to do, how to prevent different religions from becoming, instead of an instrument of dialogue, become an instrument of war. When I see or I remember the terrorists at Charlie Hebdo, terrorists who declared themselves to be Muslim, kill a Muslim policeman, saying Allahu Akbar, obviously they were not such believers, and they were not so much defenders of the Quran. So the politics and the institutions have a duty to help to live together and to maintaining, as Rabbi Seni said, to maintain what we have. So every believer, even in acting politically, must do what is useful for the rest of society. The Treaty for the European Union in Article 17 establishes that we must favor interreligious dialogue. I am Catholic and I'm convinced of my faith. I am a believer, and the more I believe, the more I respect other believers. I don't want to renounce my practice and my faith, but precisely because I am strong in my own identity, I'm listening and I will accept others' identity. There is a cultural climate. I worked on this when I was vice president of the European Parliament. I won't be long, don't fear, but at that time I tried to favor the encounter among Christians, Muslims, Jews, and representatives of other religions, but also in concrete ways bring testimony and witness of concrete light from an imam who opened his mosque to Jews, or who went to bring his solidarity when there had been attempts such as the one at the synagogue in Brussels, and the same as when Jews went to express their solidarity to dead Christians. The interreligious dialogue must start in schools. If we don't believe that we must bring up children and young who respect the others, we're wrong, because the person must be at the center of everything. And here is the responsibility of politics, which must send a message that put the person at the center of everything, and therefore respect for the other person. And this is a principle that requires reciprocity that we ask of many countries where there are state religions and that don't allow the practice of other religions. I believe that Europe can and must do more, even though we do allow interreligious dialogue. Still, here I see that there's persecution in 2021, that there are still people who are forced, because they're Jews, to run off to Israel because they don't feel welcome simply because they're Jewish. Just as we must welcome religious people from the Islamic world without taking down crucifixes from our church churches, because no believer really accepts that if you take a crucifix down that you're not welcoming. You have to be convinced of your own ideas. You must respect those who don't believe, because faith for a believer is a gift. We must also accept those who don't believe and allow the participation of those who don't believe. There are philosophical organizations, those of non-believer, but they do participate in the interreligious dialogue within Europe. We have proposed, for example, that imams preach in the language of the country where they live, not of their language of origin. I spoke to a dozen imams who preached in French in France. And so their message was not a critical one, but it was a message of prayer. We must move in this direction. The G20 is an opportunity. I asked the President of the Council of Ministers, who will speak soon, to promote during the Italian presidency of G20 not just of a conference on Afghanistan, but a peace conference on Afghanistan, because that land, after so many days and so many years of war, may find a moment of hope. This is my wish and my commitment, and that of all of us must be to proceed and to always ask ourselves what is desired by the one up there, not what he can do for us. Thank you.